Hello there everybody and welcome to my logistics guide for version 66 of Songs of 6. I'm putting this up because the logistics system has been overhauled to a certain degree and, well, it is a bit confusing at first, but in a grand total it is actually much better than before. So I want to explain this by doing a pretty direct demonstration. So we got our clay pit down here, and we got a warehouse connected where we're storing the clay. We also have a pottery up here that is supposed to receive the clay. So we want to solve this by going over the issue to get the clay into this warehouse here. So we have a few crates open, and so how does that work? First of all, we need to make sure that everything is well connected and everything's, it has to be over there. So to get the clay now from one warehouse to another, we're going to use a pull source request. So you click this one, and then you click into the warehouse in question. So now you see that there is no crate available of the selected resource. And you might wonder, that is nonsense, my friend. We have clay down here. So that is because this giving warehouse here has a keep limit which is configured too high. If you want to have a warehouse to just distribute things, I highly recommend to remove the keep limit. The keep limit just tells the warehouse to hold back a certain amount of its contents. So as you see now, the check mark has turned green, the pull source has been approved, and now if we fast forward a few seconds, eventually our workers should be starting to transport that stuff. So as you see here, it's starting to hit this warehouse here, just as we have planned. The keep limit thing here is really important. So keep in mind though, any sort of workshop does not bother with the keep limit. That is not influencing with it at all, so you don't need to worry about it. This is only important for pull requests and for the import and the export depot, so I'm going to cover that also in this video. The other thing that I wanted to introduce to you here is the radius slider. When you start out with your warehouse, you see that they have a pretty low radius where they pick up jobs. You can increase or decrease this to your own liking. Don't make it too big. I strongly recommend to custom tailor the radius of your warehouse according to the needs of that particular warehouse, ideally. So for example, it is absolutely perfect that this here has a low radius because it's only supposed to store the clay. So that's one thing how we can do it. And as you see here, the clay gets pulled into this warehouse even though these two are not connected with this grid here. This has nothing to do with one thing has not to do anything with another. So the only thing that you can do to improve this process here is to research in the where was the tech again? This tech tree, it constantly changes. Sorry guys, it's just too much for me that there's always something different here. So logistics. This tech is where you can increase the carry capacity of your haulers. This is a big thing. It's worth the investment. It does give you the good roads as well, which are, in my opinion, also very, very powerful. And if you need to haul around real big amounts of stuff, get onto the transports. So now I want to introduce a quick fix on the question how to resolve the import-export depot question. So first off, import depots, they work like they ever did. So if you knew how they worked in the previous versions, you won't have much of an issue. I'll explain it though at the end of this video too, how they work in general, just in case you didn't know. The export depots though, now when we tell them to export something, we lack a slider to configure how much of that good is supposed to be exported. Here we can again do a nice little trick. So we disable the fetching of stuff in the environment because we only want to pull the good from this warehouse. So here you now see that the pull source is not willing to give the items. That is because of the keep limit. So here, well, we have a total capacity of 300 pieces of pottery. We are now easily capable of producing pottery now that the clay is in this vicinity here. That's a quite easy thing to pull through. You can also use haulers in this regard. I'm going to do that real quick. But for our export depot now, you just have to link the export depot to the warehouse in question, and then you can now configure via the keep limit how much of that stuff they are allowed to sell. So if I have the keep limit on now 80%, the export depot can now only pull stuff out of the warehouse if the crates are filled to 80%. This is the same thing that we did before. It's just now located on the warehouse and no longer on every export depot themselves. So to just show you how that it works, here we now lower it to 20%, and you now notice the check mark turns green. We also see the total amount of stuff over here, so you can easily configure it on this end as well. So in a nutshell, you just have to work it out that way. So also when it comes down to the haulers, here it's the same thing. We can tell them to just haul the clay, and then we can link the hauler as well to a warehouse, and they'll pull the stuff then from this resource node as well. So these are the methods how we can do it. Every warehouse has only a certain amount of pull slots. So the haulers also have a lower amount of pull slots, and they also have a configurable radius. So yeah, I think this should easy up things. I hope this helped you out to configure your stuff. And now let's do real quickly the import depot, which hasn't changed at all. It's still the same good old import depot that we knew. So you ask what you want to import, and then you just configure to what percentile degree your warehouses should be filled with that stuff. So if you have only one crate assigned, you can easily tell them to fill this crate to 100%. The higher your stockpiles, the more nudging this thing will require. I also want to say at the end of this video that trading with factions directly via the diplomacy menu is always an option to do single-time trades, whereas the export depot, with these configurations, I think with the stuff that I've shown you, you should be able to cook up some system to export only exactly the amount of something that you want to, because if you don't, you end up with the export depot exporting it either everything or nothing, and that should be a resolve to that issue. So thanks for watching. Drop me your comments down below if you have any further questions about the logistics topic. I'll do my best to answer them. Leave a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and check out the description box. There's plenty of links to go around, and a big thanks to everybody watching this video. See you soon. Bye bye.